Good morning and welcome back to the channel from Cusco as my series from Peru continues. Today I'm headed out of the city to explore the Urubamba River Valley, often referred to as the Sacred Valley. To get there, I'll be joining up with an organized tour of the kind that's easy to find in Cusco. The valley is not only incredibly scenic, but it's full of Inca sites and colorful villages where more Quechua is spoken than Spanish.
Choclito. Choclito, mami, choclo.
They grow a lot of corn around Chinchero, but the village's stock in trade is its fine woven wool from sheep and alpaca, using natural dyes, the way it's been done for centuries. This is really a picturesque town, and it's very old, dating back to almost the time of Christ. Most of the archaeological work here that's been done is relatively recent, from about 1968 and thereafter. This happens to be election day for municipal offices and people from this departamento or the district surrounding, so there are extra people in town to vote who've come in from the surrounding villages. The Chinchero archaeological site, which lies beside the town, was a palace of the ninth Inca, Tupac Yupanqui. As elsewhere at similar sites, the stones of this great site, many of them were used by the Spaniards to build or rebuild Chinchero after the conquest. This terraced site is really quite spectacular, with the mountains rising steeply just beyond the town. I don't know if you can see it so clearly, but down below are sheep herders and also newly planted or about to be planted crops of potatoes. When you think of the Andes, and especially Peru, you normally think of maize or corn, but what is sometimes overlooked is that Peru is really the home of the potato. There are more than 4,000 varieties of potatoes grown in this country. The Inca only knew about 300 varieties. So when you sit down at a restaurant table here and you think you're eating a potato, but it's not like any potato you've eaten before. That's the reason there's so many from which to choose. Many people who come to Cusco prefer to leave for the Sacred Valley for a couple of days before exploring Cusco, simply because they need to acclimate to Cusco's 12,000 feet altitude. But the exception would be here. Chinchero is actually higher than Cusco. So if you're thinking about spending a couple of days in Chinchero, that would not be the way to acclimate.
Sí, dámelo por si acaso, pues nosotros ya tenemos un día, pero bueno.
As lovely as this town is, it's really threatened, and that is by a new international airport for Cusco, which has been in the planning stages since 1978 and has gained steam and then halted altogether during the COVID pandemic, and now is being rejuvenated. So from this vantage point, just very close to the town center, I can hear the heavy equipment in the distance from the construction at the airport. You can just imagine what that would be like once the airport is completed, with all of the, not only the noise, but the attendant development around it. Cusco's airport is outdated, it's antiquated, but there are plenty of people here and elsewhere who believe that putting an international airport next to a centuries-old national treasure is not the best of ideas.
We're about to visit another village less than an hour away, whose inhabitants have also been engaged in a singular activity for hundreds of years. The village is Maras. The industry, salt mining.
I'm hiking down for a closer look. In all, there are nearly 4,000 salt pans here, where people have been mining salt from the earth here since at least 200 BC. This salt from Maras is especially salt in Peru. I mean, Peruvians swear by it, including my new friend here, who is a Peruvian.
Hello, how you doing? Yeah, this is the first salt I use for do my barbecue in the United States, and it's amazing salt.
Can you get it in the United States?
Yeah. You could find it in maybe some Peruvian stores, but usually it's very expensive.
Well, there you have it. An endorsement from somebody who knows the place. It is quite amazing. This place would be a place of beauty even without the man-made construction here to harvest the salt. It lies in a deep canyon below snow-capped mountains, and it is truly a wonderful place. It's also a place where you can burn very quickly. It's almost like being at the beach with all of this whiteness staring up at you. While the pans themselves are man-made, the salt that occurs here comes from an underground natural spring that's mixed with salt deposits from prehistoric salt lakes. The result is a fantastical landscape that produces, in some cases, a special pink Andean salt, which villagers here have been collecting and selling for hundreds of years. It was explained to me by our Peruvian guide that the people who work here, while they earn a living from the salt mines, are not remunerated nearly in comparison to what the finished product brings on the market, especially for export. The salt from Maras that leaves the country primarily has been exported to the United States, Russia, and Germany. The prices explode when it leaves the country because it's considered a specialty salt. Here, I guess it's just salt.
Not far away is the town of Moray, where we make a brief pit stop on our way to an archaeological site of the same name. It's one of the more unusual Inca ruins in all of Peru.
As Inca sites go, the site here at Moray is something very special. This place was built, as you can see, for terraced agriculture. It was not built to support a community. It was built, in a manner of speaking, as a research center because the Inca were fascinated with what kinds of foods they could grow at what altitudes. And so it so happens that this place has three holes, if you will, craters, natural craters, and there's great altitude difference between the three. In fact, with each of the terraces are separated by 3+ meters of elevation. So the Inca tested all sorts of foods, plants, and used what they learned here to apply it throughout the empire. Of course, when the Spaniards came, that came to a halt, unfortunately. There were up to 300 people at a time who lived here and tended this place and researched here among the Inca. And when the Spaniards came, they herded them all into a colonial setting at nearby Moray. And I guess to make matters worse, they totally denigrated the exquisite purpose for which this site was designed. Instead of continuing to grow food here, they used it for cattle grazing. There are less than 150 climate designations in the world. I've forgotten the exact number, but Peru has more than 80 of them. And you can appreciate that if you look across this site to the two great mountains whose names at the moment escape me, but one of which at least is above 20,000 feet. From here, it's as if you're looking into the Swiss Alps, plus another 8,000 feet.
As so often happens while traveling, some of the things you see pass in an instant, but they stay with you forever.